One of the things that the Conservatives have never, ever been able to escape is this London mindset that if it works in London, surely it must work in the rest of the country. And no, that generally is not the case in many, many things. Yes, some things done in London can work in different parts of the country, but always, always remember that London is almost its own ecosystem. If you live in London, you practically never, ever, probably like for the rest of your life, unless you actually want to move out of London, never have to leave it. Because everything you could ever want, from recreations, housing, jobs, all in London. Everything you could ever ask for. However, that's not the case, as we have tried to, say multiple times to the Conservatives. Not everything is like London. And something very interesting that Henry Hill goes over in this article. We're not going to go over it all, but I just want to point out some parts very recently. In fact, another article in Conservative Home. If you took, if you would just remove London completely from the UK's economy, you lose about 14% GDP. And this is how almost dependent we are on the economic machine that is London. We should be using that to help power the rest of the UK cities, the rest of the country. But they are so stuck in a mindset where recently the Angela Rayner coming out and announcing the housing targets, with many of them up in the north, that Henry Hill, again, one of the big sort of writers and sort of the intellectual artillery at Conservative Home, has come out with a bizarre article saying, well, it's all right for Rayner to build homes in the north, but in reality, what she should be doing is densifying London. Here's the thing. London as a city is already pretty dense. It is the most dense urban center in the UK. I don't think you can make it any more dense than you can. And most of these housing targets you are seeing that are being announced are not in cities. It's around the cities as well. In towns and other areas where you need these houses. Because guess what? Conservatives have not built these houses. But once again, Henry Hill has just this obsession where, see, Sadiq Khan's numbers to build houses in the city of London have been slashed. This is somehow proof that NIMBYism wins, and that if we give in to our NIMBYism and we follow this path of NIMBYism, we too shall reap the electoral rewards of NIMBYism. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, but there you go. So before we do go getting more into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And of course, there's the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. It is Wednesday, so there will be a Pony Club video as well out today. So as always, thank you very much to everyone who does support that. Oh, and of course, Patreons will also get access to that video as well. So let's crack on then into this. So off over we go to Conservative Home, just to have a brief look at this. So this is Henry Hill's main argument here. Rayner's partisan refusal to prioritize urban house building is now a gift to Conservatives. Bear in mind, Henry Hill does not talk about other urban centers. Everything in this article is squarely focused on London. And why? Because London is one of the most dense urban centers in the UK. You cannot more densify it anymore. Well, you can, but you would be having very, very, small, limited gains. Whereas other cities are not as dense as London. There is still opportunity for you to sort of do that and to create, houses in these urban centers. Not impossible to do, but once again, they've got to get out of this urban mindset. You've got to, get out of London and develop the rest of the country, which is what a lot of these housing targets are set out to try and do, to develop a lot more of the country and to build houses in a lot of these places where, well, they need them, because the south does not just need more houses, it is the north as well. So yeah, you know, and you'll see here in a moment, Henry Hill really bizarrely, even though apparently Henry Hill massively against NIMBYism, basically telling conservatives that their path to recovery only lies through NIMBYism. But anyway, just go through this part. So the first part, again, very, very telling. So, who would have guessed it? Here we are, with a Labour government possessing a huge historic majority, with a very fiery rhetoric about ripping up the planning system. And what do we get? The very housing policy that Tory MPs always wanted, dumping housing targets on the north. Except they did not do that. They did not do that. Why did they not follow through on their own housing policy, on their own planning reforms? Because they were so NIMBY about it, so obsessed with the idea of the green belt, which, bear in mind, came about in like the 1950s as an idea to, oh, we've got to stop urban sprawl, guys. We've got to stop urban sprawl. What they were really saying is, oh my God, cities and towns are expanding because of, again, growing population, and these places are now growing out to such an extent they're enveloping the suburbs. And heaven forbid that it should engulf the suburbs, and hence why we get the green belt. There's not as much truth as in the green belt as people say. Not all green belt land is farmland. Not all green belt land is this like precious an environmental area that has to be protected at all costs. This is a NIMBY fantasy which they use to basically stop house building. And Hill revises that in a moment. And all he does is talk about here is London, London, London. No other city does he pay any attention to. But this is where he really, really sort of outs himself here. So, whilst in terms of Britain's actual needs, there is no getting away from the need to build millions of homes across the south, Rayner's decision now shunts targets out of cities has now opened up a sweet spot. A front on which the Conservatives can be messianically now pro-house building without antagonising those MPs who want to retreat to their comfort zone over the green belt, meaning that once again, you get a split here in your party, which he is admitting to, that you have a part of their party that wants to build houses, while another part, oh, greenbelt, can't build houses there, greenbelt. Sorry, this has been the Conservative plan all along. This is what they have done. They have engaged and given in to just NIMBYs time and time and time again. If they're not complaining about the green belt, then they're complaining about the lack of infrastructure. Can't build all these houses, infrastructure. Then, when you go to build these infrastructure, can't build that infrastructure there. But we need that infrastructure to build those houses that you said you wanted. Oh, can't do that, green belt. Henry Hill, I think, advocating here the that the Tories need to lean into like NIMBYism. I don't think is going to be a very good path to strategic recovery. But then again, I think these housing targets are good. I think, getting these housing targets, building out sort of these cities, I think is going to be good. You know, these houses are very much needed again across the country. I think the only thing he's got is that, oh, there's less housing targets down in the south, which, okay, fair enough. You do need to build houses down in the south as well. But once again, he refers to not like, the southeast or, the southwest. He's basically referring to London in that article. And he cannot escape this mindset. He just cannot escape this mindset that there are other places in the UK that need houses. So there you go. But yeah, I just think Henry Hill there really exposed himself that he is quite a big NIMBY himself when the man has written articles criticizing NIMBYs constantly in his own party. But now, don't worry, guys, just give in to NIMBYism. Just give in to NIMBYism, and then we're in power. We'll be in that same argumentative position again, where you've got NIMBYs on one side, house building on the other, and basically nothing gets done. So the Conservative Party, no idea which way it wants to look. Anyway, as always, let me know what you think down below in the comments. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.